Well, beyond wage bills, you have allowances, you have trips, you have seminars, you have conferences. And if you look at what our legislators are paid, if you look at GDP per person, to 8 times that amount. We are a country that's far too poor to be spending that type of money on legislation, and we need to get our current expenditure down. The other concern I'm having with regards to the debt is we're getting into a lot of foreign debt, and our shilling has been underperforming, has been weakening significantly. If you look at the Eurobond, when that was floated and we got that in, the shilling was at around 85 shillings to the dollar. Now we've hit about 103. We were at 107 at one point. So the problem that we're having is that we are getting into foreign debt, our shilling is depreciating, and that's making it more expensive to service that as time goes on. So that's another overall concern.
All right, Professor, the county is also being pointed at as something that is somewhat of a sinkhole for the money that we're earning as a country. But again, what are the other areas that we can look at to be able to trim our expenditure and be able to become productive again?
Well, I think, again, even when it comes to devolution, let us not get too overexcited. If you look at what the counties are spending out of total government budget, it's not all that excessive. We're talking about 30% or so. A lot of what the counties are spending would have been spent by the central government anyway, even if you're not devolution. What you can look at counties and say, look, this extra money is what's going to the governors, to the MCAs, and all that. All these new offices which have been created. It's not a heck of a lot of money, and it is not what is impacting on the debt. The growth of it as a whole, you realize that for quite some time, I would say in the last 10 years or so, we've been spending something between 20 to 25% of our total tax revenue to service the debt. We're still within that range. And what has gone up, though, is the percentage that we are servicing out of exports, out of sort of our revenues. And to deal with this problem, you have to address the critical problems which this country has been unable to deal with in the last 10 years or so. Why can't we grow our exports and get more revenue coming out of things that we send outside? Look at what's happening in tourism, coffee, tea, etc., flowers, and all of that. In a way, when people complain about the devaluation of the Kenya shilling, they forget that it's actually a plus when it comes to exporting. It's actually an incentive. But it is when you look at exports, the opposite is the truth. And the fact is that most of our debt today is still owed to multilateral organizations, starting with the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the EU, and all of that. The Chinese are coming in, but if you look at the bilaterals with whom we have contracted debt, they're still even not yet the largest creditor we have.
All right,
it's
but
Japan.
Yes, Professor, you've been in government, you've been advising them with respect to how perhaps we can meet our debt obligations, and and you're in the know about how we can grow our economy. What's the problem there? How come advice doesn't seem to be taking, at least within the past 3 years?
I think we need a lot of imagination when it's coming to policy. It's not just a matter of crunching numbers. Making policy is an art. You have to think of different ways of putting the package together so you get where you want to be. The critical problem of this economy is that it's been growing in the last 4 years, and we just had the World Bank projections for this year at about 5%.